Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is coming to HBO in a big bad way. And we just got our first trailer this past week. And it is now the most watched HBO or HBO Max trailer of all time.
Not surprised.
This comes to us from Deadline. They say the trailer for the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone has got 277 million organic, non-paid views across platforms in its first 48 hours, becoming the most watched trailer in HBO's history. The series, based on Who Shall Not Be Named fantasy book series, is set to debut Christmas 2026 on HBO and stream on HBO Max. We got our first look of Dominic McLaughlin as Harry Potter, Arabella Stanton as Hermione Granger, and Alistair Stout as our new Ron Weasley. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone follows Harry Potter on his 11th birthday and is the origin story, if you will, and the introduction to the world of Hogwarts. And we got to see our first look at all it has to offer. My first impressions were, it was terrible. No, I'm just kidding. My first impressions were, it was absolutely fantastic. It gave me the vibes of the movies, but it also made me feel like this is the vehicle to truly adapt the books in a big bad way and tell the story in a way we didn't necessarily get to from the movies. Does that make it the better option? We don't know. But we should leave our judgments at the door because this is the people behind Succession who know how to write, and this is HBO. And I saw a lot of people complaining online with the first look of Harry Potter, and you saw the behind Quidditch outfit. And I said, you know what? Wait till the trailer drops because this is HBO, and you never count out HBO. And then the trailer dropped, and people were like, my interest is peaked a little bit. I'll give it that. Well, it seems like it piqued most people's interest because this bad boy was watched so many times. Zach, I've talked enough. I want to know, how did you feel about watching this trailer?
Yeah, it gave me a real cool magical feel that only Harry Potter has. I think that all the kids look great. They feel like kids. They feel appropriate for the age that the book is supposed to be at. Even a little younger than they were in the first movie. It feels like even a little younger than that, which is great because these kids are going to grow really fast and they're supposed to be doing 8 seasons of the show. So it's good that they have kids that are super young. So it won't feel like we have 18-year-olds by the time season 2 comes up. And I really like the look of all the characters. They feel how they're supposed to feel, but they don't feel like copies of the movie characters because this is supposed to be a readaptation of the book and not a remake of the movie into a show. So I'm glad that like they're slightly different, even though they still have hallmarks of the things from the movies. So it pleases the movie fans, it pleases the book fans, and the kids now who probably are not going to be like, they're not going to fall in love with the old Harry Potter because it's not theirs. Right. Going to fall in love with this, and this will become their Harry Potter. And then parents who grew up with the movies and the books now get to share that feeling again, but plus get more because it's going to be a TV series that brings in all the aspects that were cut from the movies.
100%. No, I felt the same way. I think the world of Harry Potter, it's such a vast, beautiful, mysterious, and magical, if you will, world. And just the nostalgia of bringing us back into this world, and from the viewpoint of Harry Potter, who is who is new to it, and be through his eyes on the beginning of the journey again. It makes it feel fresh and new in a really fun way. And so I'm so excited just to like go back into the wizarding world and see what's new and what's different than the movies. Not comparing it in any way, but I did love those movies. And so I think it's cool just to see like, oh, what an interesting interpretation. It's like comics. Like in comic books. There's so many different runs, so many different interpretations of the characters that we love, and so many creatives and artists have different views, and you don't know what you don't know. And so for them to be able to show us something maybe that we haven't seen in this world again is exciting. And if there's something that we did love from that world and we see it again, that's exciting too, because we get to see it under a new lens, and that is a good thing. And speaking of a new lens, let's talk a little bit about our boy Snape, because I've seen all the chatter online before this even came out, and it's absolutely disgusting. But my initial thoughts when I saw our Snape in this new series, he looks so badass. Like, I don't care that the great, Alan Rickman played it before. You're not going to be Alan Rickman. It doesn't make sense to hire another actor that has Alan Rickman isms and hope for the best. That's not how you do another adaptation. If you want it different, then we're going to do it different. His race is not described in the books at all. And so I understand people's concern, but just from looking at it from the trailer, my initial thought was, wow, he looks cool. He looks badass. He looks angry, bitter, cool. Yeah. And so I don't really have an issue with it. And I don't think people have a leg to stand on to judge this man before they've even seen the product. You haven't even heard his voice. You haven't seen his character, his mannerisms, his demeanor. All that makes Snape, not the color of his skin. And so just seeing him here, I'm like, let's go. He looks sick. What was your initial reaction to seeing Snape in the trailer?
You already know I'm always rooting for everybody black. You know what I mean? But I was really excited because this actor is a really good actor. And a lot of people were hating on him before we got the trailer, right? He talked about in an interview recently, he got death threats. So many of them.
Extra security on site.
Yeah, because people are crazy. I think he looks great. I like that he doesn't look like he's trying to do an Alan Rickman, like you said, reinterpretation. I love that they did go with the locks to make it look like that kind of bob hair that Snape has. This is some of the best locks that I've seen fake locks that I've seen in a movie in a long time. Because a lot of times when you see fake locks in movies and shows,
you're the locksmith, brother.
Locksmith. They look horrible, right? And these look good. It looks like it's almost he locked his actual hair. So I like that. I like that he looks a little cool, but he looks disheveled, because a lot of people talk about Alan Rickman, but if you think about the book, even Alan Rickman's adaptation of that or interpretation that wasn't accurate to the book, because the character is supposed to be greasy and dirty and disheveled, kind of Gollum-esque. And Alan Rickman he had the bust down, and he was flaunting, and he was, you know what I mean? And he was fancy. So he was a boss. Yeah. He was a boss. So it's cool, his shirt's not on fully properly, his stance. He still has a very judgmental look, which is perfect because Snape is a very judgmental character. And I'm down. I'm excited to see what he does. And anything, and I don't want to incite hate, but anything that pisses racists off, I'm glad for. Let's go. Get pissed off. Let's troll them. But no, I'm excited to see how to execute his character. And one big thing about story plot wise, right? A lot of people were over when the trailer came out. There's a lot of think pieces about how casting as a black man now makes Harry Potter look racist. And
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about your opinion on that.
Because the way media is, I think a lot of people who are not black only see black people be able to, if they're hated on, can only be because of a racism thing. And I hope that the writers do the right thing and just make it for the original reason why he was hated, and don't make it about the skin color. It just happened. It was because he was a piece of shit. Snape is a blood.
He's like cocky,
but he's a bigot. he doesn't like he doesn't like Muggles, and he doesn't like mixing with Muggles. Like
Okay.
he's like that, and
And
he was an alien.
Harry's dad was a bully though, like
His dad, but
regardless, like
the thing is,
him and
within
his
the
boys
book,
were like punks. They were punks.
everyone, but in the books, everyone did this. Like everyone got pants. Like he basically got pantsed by Harry's dad.
Like it was everyone was like hazing in school. Like it was
Yeah, so it wasn't
like
like
hazing the freshmen, like kind of thing. Like
it wasn't like he just did it to Snape. Everyone was doing it to each other, and
so
Snape.
they show it that's the way to show it. Don't
Yeah,
make it don't make it seem like they just pinpointed Snape. They were hazing the rookies. Snape took it personally, got into it with him, and now they are at each other because they don't like each other, but they like the same girl.
yeah, and that's I just go with that.
And that had nothing to do with racism, right? That whole
No,
thing I just said.
it's just the same thing that we've seen in tons of shows before, where two people are fighting over a woman or status or something, and
Yep.
become rivals because of it. And let's say you watch like a Smallville, they haze Tom Welling's Clark Kent. They put him on the Scarecrow post, and everybody was like,
iconic vision of him on the Scarecrow post
yes,
with the kryptonite necklace. Oh my god! In the pilot, Chef's Kiss.
But yeah,
Jinx?
I think that everybody needs to drop their think pieces. Wait till to see how the writers execute it. See how he acts. I'm really rooting for him to kill it. But from what I've seen him from before, I have a very good, strong idea that he's going to do a great job. And I think the biggest part is that everyone's chemistry is great, because you got individual performances, but if your chemistry is not great with Harry, then it doesn't really matter. So hopefully he has that great antagonistic chemistry with Harry, where there's like a hint of like he actually cares about him in behind, because we find out later on in the movies that Snape did kind of care about Harry, but
that he was actually looking out for him the whole time. In that,
so hopefully they find a way to play with that. I
think you have more time to tell that story in a show, which is why this story of Harry Potter lends so well to a long form storytelling series. And that is something that I'm really excited for. On top of that, when it comes to chemistry, and we'll wrap up here pretty soon, these three kids look fantastic on screen. And by look, I mean their interactions together, their glances at the screen. It feels nostalgic. It doesn't feel like a copy of the original trio. It feels like the characters, not like cosplay. I don't like when people say that either, because cosplaying is not easy. It's insanely hard to do and pull off. And so I really think they embody who these characters are in such a good way, just from the trailer. And at the end, when Ron asks him, "Are you really Harry Potter?" and he's like, with the lightning, it was like, oh, touch so my heart, bro. So I just think we're in for such a big treat when it comes to these three young actors. I hope the fans can support them in their success and hold down the toxicity, because these kids are going to be with us for a very long time in these roles. We're going to see them grow up in front of our eyes. And it's more on a show because you're with them a lot longer, year in and year out. This is going to be really special. And these kids feel like Harry, Ron, and Hermione. And I cannot wait to see their journey. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, and they're filming like 2 seasons at a time, which is, I think, is a smart idea, because
at least these first two, right? At least
they've greenlit and they already are in the process of doing season 2, which I think is a smart idea, because we've seen what happened to like One Piece and Avatar: Last Airbender, where they don't do it back to back. Yeah, and then you go to the next season and now Aang looks like an 18-year-old. Yeah,
chest hair
and stuff. It's crazy. So like, I like that they're doing that. It's gonna feel like more natural progression through the seasons. So when you get to season 3, they will look older, but not crazy older.
Rolling with the homies. All right. Let us know what you guys think. Did you see the Harry Potter first trailer, and did it take any interest and bump it up? Or are you still holding on to those movies and you need to let go? Drop a comment below and let us know your guys' thoughts.